Good evening, YouTube. I always say evening. Hopefully it's evening when you're watching this. If not, then good whatever time of the day it is to you. I am HeirofCarthage, as one might guess from the name of the channel, and welcome back to the End Times, where I'm going to narrate you through the End Times with Archaon, the Ever-Chosen. He is ever-chosen to destroy Brittania. Speaking of Brittania, Terhillius brings us a great story about something that happened during the Brittonian invasion. But before we get there, let me just jump in and say thank you. Thank you so much. The last episode, folks, it was a few days ago, but still, this is episode 21. I'm talking about the previous episode, not this one. This is episode 21 of a campaign. That's a long way to go into a campaign. Most people stop watching campaigns after this far in. You all put 14,176 views between the last time I uploaded and when I'm recording this, and 1,100 likes. That is enormous, folks. Thank you so much. That's all I can say. Thank you so much. And 170 comments to top it off. 170 awesome comments, I might add. So let me just say thank you. Really appreciate it. So very much appreciate all of the love you all are giving these. I love making it, so I'm glad you all equally enjoy watching it. So thank you. Let's get on to some of the comments. And the first one is from Warbaka101. He says, you know what would be funny? If Patchy wore the butthole mask because his face was more beautiful than Sigvald's. That is an interesting theory, that perhaps Sigvald made him wear the mask that makes him look like a butt face in order to draw attention away from the fact that he looks better. I don't know. What do you all think? What do you all think of Warbaka's theory? So Terhillius leaves the story for this week. You're going to like this, so get ready. Get settled in. Get that popcorn ready. And here comes Terhillius. He says, as Archaon leads his dark armies across the burning lands of Brittania, he is faced by a surprising new problem. Despite all the slaughter, the chaos, the mayhem his men spread across the besieged kingdom, the peasants do not seem to be that bothered by it. One day, as he rode his demonic steed, the Ever-Chosen was surprised to find some flea-ridden peasants working the fields, completely ignoring his presence, or that of his dark-armored warriors. Furious, Archaon dismounted and strode towards the closest of the peasants, his flaming blade at the ready. "You worm, bow to me, or I swear your death will be a slow one," he snarled. "Can't you hear me, man? Bow!" "I'm a woman," corrected the peasant, staring back at Archaon with a disfigured face. And you're not Lord Dennis? His cousin Joan, maybe?" "Marietta, who is it?" shouted another of the peasants, his hump giving him a full extra head of height. It's going to be hard for me to read this without laughing. "Our Lord Count's cousin, I think," answered the ugly woman. Archaon needed a moment before he spoke again. "I am Archaon the Ever-Chosen." "Chosen by who?" asked the other peasant. "Not me. As a society based on feudalism and the supreme rule of the king, we are not allowed to cast our votes," explained Marietta, now completely ignoring Archaon as she spoke with her friend. "Then again, we haven't heard from Lord Dennis in a while, so maybe we will become an anarcho-syndicalist commune. Sure, we'll starve, but at least we can choose when and how." Archaon lowered his weapon. "I am..." "Oh, again with the commune," said the other peasant, rolling his eyes. "Why can't we just become a capitalist society, like the Dark Elves?" "The Chaos Gods," continued Archaon, trying to be heard. "With the 2 factories we have in the whole kingdom, and the lack of proper infrastructure," Marietta spat, it will still take centuries if the king allows it. Truly, what we need to do is prepare ourselves for the revolution." "But the end times," said Archaon, then gave up as the 2 peasants continued to bicker. Even the demon trapped in his sword had already given up. Slowly he turned and walked away, joining the vanguard of his dark legion. Appius watched silently as his lord took his horse and moved onwards, not sharing a word with the rest. Sextus noticed too, then frowned. "I wonder what happened to him," mused Sextus. "Maybe he also has bed problems with the vampirist," shrugged Appius, quickly turning into a shadow as Sextus turned to him, axe in hand. "Come back here, you traitor, I swear. If I hear you shared that story with anybody else, you're dead." You folks get it. He shared it with all of us. What'd you all think? I thought that was pretty good. Thank you, Terhilius. I didn't quite voice the redneck peasants as well as I wanted to, but I tried for you all. All right. So the funny meme leaves us our next comment. It's Sextus's Manticore speaking here. The Manticore says, "Ruh-roh, Rextus, we're out of Scrooby snacks." Sextus says, "By the gods." I like that one too. That is good stuff. All right. So as one more comment here. This one comes from Paul Curlin. It says, Archaon isn't giving money to Norsca. Think of it as him as sending 10,000 suits of mail and weapons to Norsca from all of his defeated victims in battle, and he stripped them of their arms. That's one way to put it, but I think of my own here too, so I like your reason. I'm not discounting it, but I'm going to go with this one. Archaon is going to give some favor of the Dark Gods to his Norscan vassals. I gotta remember that they sit under our foot. And we're gonna give them this money.
Today you bring one to me.
And this favor from the Dark Gods is intended to be given to them, and Archaon demands that for having been given this favor, that they deliver 30,000 skulls to the Skull Throne.
Good.
So how about that? 30,000 skulls to the Skull Throne is the demands from Archaon. Does that work? I think that'll work. Anyway, let's keep the campaign going. The destruction of Brittania is fully underway. And it looks like there's another army of peasants that will need to be dealt with. Oh boy, these peasants just never learn. I feel like I've already fought this battle. No, they're just standing outside of the battle that I just fought. Okay, I didn't.
I will not blight my soul.
I've destroyed so many peasants, it's just getting kind of hard to keep up with them. We can't keep count anymore. It's like peasant stew for lunch, peasant stew for dinner, peasant stew for breakfast. It's rough, folks. It's rough. Alright, Varda Krom. Hey, did you all name this guy, by the way? I'm going to look through the comments, see if you all named these folks. Ooh, now I like this. Here's a name that someone had for the sorcerer. We're going to name the sorcerer Terhilius. Let's make sure I spelled Terhilius right. Hold on, I got to look over here. Air doesn't spell, people. Alright, T-E-R... Oops, H-I-L... I-O-U-S. Terhilius, who tells us... Oh, it won't fit. He wanted me to put Chronicle or Chronicly, but it won't fit. I've just got to put who tells a story. So, Terhilius has now been turned into a Chaos Sorcerer to join the campaign. Look at that, Terhilius. You get to write a story about yourself now, maybe. Alright, you all helped me name the Exalted Hero. So, he still needs a name. We've named the Sorcerer after our beloved Terhilius. Let's see here. No other moves for Vardek's army to make this turn. However, Archaon could revel in some more peasant bloodshed, it looks like. Oh, come on, peasants. Get back here and take your beatings. Alright, let's move over to the High Elves. We defeated the garrison and Tyrion in the last battle.
Despoil. We will accept.
There's very few elves left here, but I feel like it just wouldn't be appropriate if we didn't personally attend to the destruction of Lothern. So I know there's not much here, but let's take care of it. Welcome to the lament of Jornadar, the High Elf Noble, as he defends the capital city with what little forces he has left. And it is very little. You can see Lothern in the background. One last time, the rainbows and that star will be seen flying above the capital city. Because Sigvald and Patchy and their forces of chaos have arrived. And the Worn Defenders have to do their best. I do love some High Elf unit models. Those Lothern Sea Guard look absolutely amazing. I need to do a themed High Elf campaign at some point. Here comes Sigvald and his Polisher. The Polisher staying close by because he knows that Sigvald might have need of his services in the middle of the battle. And you can see all of the trolls and stuff from Patchy's. What is going... Alright, hold on. Camera is going nuts. Alright. I think I had my finger on the wrong button. Not the camera. It's the user. Here comes all the trolls from Patchy's army. They're going to try and break the gates. Trolls are actually really handy at breaking gates. And the siege towers I have are at the walls. My Chosen and Chaos Warriors are going to come in. There are Sword Masters here to defend, which definitely potent units, but they are spent, having been defeated in the previous battle. There's some White Lions there as well. Those Lothern Sea Guard. I love what they did with the shields. Here's the Mirror Guard as it enters the capital city. Hopefully going to make Sigvald proud. These guys are actually outmatched stat-wise by a greatsword unit like this. But the greatswords are pretty weakened. And then my trolls come through. This is actually the body of the High Elf Noble. He was killed by the Polisher, who took the last of his life with the final transmutation before the gates even opened. So I guess it spared him the embarrassment of being clubbed to death by a troll, and allowed him to die with slightly more dignity at the hands of a Chaos Sorcerer. Jorhul the Polisher. So the remaining Dragon Princes attempted to guard the city, and then back here there's a couple of Great Eagles guarding the lone Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower, which is the last line of defense before the capital city of the High Elves is razed to the ground. Probably soon to be resettled by the Blessed Dread. You know how the AI likes to resettle everything I clear out. Sigvald's just enjoying a jog, you know, making sure he's in peak shape. He's coming back here. He's getting pretty quick. We did some work on his stats, and I used the potion of speed there. Anyway, the last remaining High Elf units fled. Can't blame them. Didn't film this because it's going to be a crazy battle. Filmed it because I think it only fitting that the last breath of the High Elves be recorded. So you know what's kind of funny is in the last episode someone left a comment like, I love watching your campaigns, but I just wish it wasn't the AI so you had a challenge for once. Well, this is definitely one of those battles that wasn't a challenge, but if he said he wishes I had a challenge, I don't know where he was at when watching a couple of the battles in this campaign that were truly challenging. Like a couple episodes ago when I had to face that army of elves. Oh my goodness. That battle was insane. I was like sweating whenever I was playing that one. Now it is the AI, and you can game them. I get it. But honestly, if you gave, like a lot of people say, oh, I wish they had to play against like a human player, it would change the campaign so much. Sometimes for good, and sometimes not so much, because humans know how to game the system, which is why you can do it against the AI. Imagine giving a human control of every army you fight in the campaign. It would be truly horrific sometimes, because there would be small armies that someone would be able to just annoy you with, or like give you grief with. And the big armies, like the one I fought, how in the world could you fight against that with the armies? Like, I would have to make every army just a stack of Chosen and like knights. You wouldn't be able to have any, you know, versatility in picking your army, because you'd have to just be maxing out your capability to take on the human player who could otherwise, you know, like all those Phoenix Guards and stuff, they would have been smart enough to not let them get in the wrong engagements, and I would have just died. Like, that's not necessarily even a skill matchup at that point. It's just someone wrecking you with a statistically superior force. So I get it. I do wish there was ways that somehow the AI could be a little better, but oh my goodness, having a human in their place, it could get crazy. Now, that doesn't mean that a head-to-head campaign couldn't be fun. I do think that would be fun. The head-to-head represents like a one person representing one faction, whereas like if every time you fought an army it was a human, oh boy, that would just get so grind. Alright, well, we have razed Lothern to the ground, and I would say that the High Elves are on a very, very rapid downward spiral. You can see that they've got the Blessed Dread and the Cult of Pleasure all over them. And the reign of the High Elves is pretty much over. Look, there's 3 more armies of Dark Elves. Oh my gosh, just look at all the stacks of Dark Elves up here. And then look, there's even more. Holy Dark Elves! Look at this! Holy mackerel! The number of Dark Elves is truly frightening. Wow. Let's hope they don't turn on us, which they very well might. They very well might. Once they have no other enemies. So I'm trying to sit here and think here. We had the Kentucky Friar. It looks like I may have lost a unit of Chaos spawn here. And it was probably the weird spawn. Yeah, it was probably the weird spawn. Which we won't be able to re-recruit, at least at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and put just a standard Chaos spawn back into Patchy's army. And let's see what Prince Sigvald is missing. I think the Everwardens. But he can't recruit this turn because he doesn't have any movement points, so we need to put the Everwardens back in his army. It does appear that the Lizards possess the Sword of Cain. I want that sword. I've said it before, and I will say it again. I want that sword. Alright, Kolek and Felman absolutely wrecked Gorse in probably one of the worst spankings in battle history. It was pretty gruesome. Let's see, Ingerson, he's got Manticores, Trolls, Chosen. Let's see here. Chaos Spawn and Chosen. That's good. So Feral Manticores fall under that one. Trolls fall under this one, which we can give them additional 8 attack and 12 weapon strength. That would certainly be a good thing. I'm not terribly worried about getting to it at the moment, though, so I want to put some focus into Felman's personal skills first. Let's end this turn. Well, I wonder if Wulfric is preparing to repay that debt. I see Throg there. I see that they have an absurd number of Bale Fiends. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's what happens when you loan favor to those who are probably somewhat untrustworthy at best. I really want Hell Pit dead too. I am so tired of the rats. They're verminous ilk. I'm going to take Ingerson and Kolek over here, and we're going to smash Hell Pit. We're going to utterly destroy it. I'm tired of this nonsense right here, and it doesn't stop. And I'm going to put an end to it. Alright, the Ever-Chosen should probably attack Bordeleaux. That is where their army fled. This is good. This will give us a challenge, because they'll have a garrison and an army garrisoning. I say it'll give us a challenge. That remains to be seen with Archaon's army. But Cassian the Devoted wasn't exactly chivalrous. He ran away from me, but let's just consider that maybe for a moment he was falling back to protect his people at Bordeleaux. The great peasant city of Bordeleaux. Look at this, a statue of the lady, the water of life pouring out into the rocks and down towards the dead trees. It's actually pretty poetic. This was the life of Brittania, and now its water spills towards death and decay. So Archaon's forces are going to be assaulting Cassian the Devoted and his men. And this will be one of the larger resistances that the Bretonnians have put up. They do have a lot of archers on the wall. But you know who likes to take care of archers? That's going to be Appius and Sextus, our Chaos Roman buddies. Though I suppose Sextus probably wants to kill Appius for, you know, outing his vampire bed problems. Let's check out the Chosen here, coming up to the walls. My goodness, this game is beautiful. This is a really good map. This is a custom map that someone made. Let me show you all an overhead. Really fantastic job on the city. It really is too bad that Creative Assembly didn't do some maps like this, especially once they released the map editor. I feel like Creative Assembly should release another map pack of their own, Not to undo the work of these modders, but there's a lot of settlements that don't have modded maps, and I feel like they should do some work, creative assembly, to add to the awesomeness that's already in this Grand Campaign map mod. A lot of the maps in the Grand Campaign map mod are from the, like you notice Lothern didn't have one, but some of these ones from the older world do, unless I've just got the mod installed wrong. Now I am attempting to tear down the gates. It's going to take a while. I've got Archaon and some Chosen with halberds, as well as the Sons of the Last Plague. Over here we got the Reavers of the Night Faith. Those guys look awesome with like that kind of black and gray coloration. And the Reavers of the Night Faith pack a otherworldly punch with their weapons. Let's check out these other Chosen. Some of these guys have names. That one doesn't. Let's see. We need to name some more of these units. We need to have like the Peasant Cleavers. Here's the Salty Bunch and the Reapers of Straghoff. These guys really did some work back in that battle. These guys have been here since the beginning of the campaign. So Archaon's having a little fun. Gonna roast some peasants before the battle begins, and you can see here that Appius actually used a penumbral pendulum as well. I didn't catch that particular bit of action, but Appius has 125 kills. And Archaon should have a pretty good number right now too, 55. So you can see the peasant armies back here being laid waste to. The Chosen just absolutely swarm and overwhelm the peasants. Chosen in these numbers are definitely a challenge. Very difficult to be reckoned with unless you have some artillery or handguns. That would really be the best way to deal with it. But Brittania does not pack enough handguns. Now here comes the Holy Wardens of La Maisental, sorry. So the Holy Wardens are a regiment of renowned battle pilgrim. They do pack a pretty good wallop there, and they even have anti-large right now, which is crazy. You can see Appius and Sextus really playing with their peasant food. And the peasants open the gates, which kind of glitched some of my guys through. This is actually a really annoying feature. You can't make it to where the defenders shouldn't be able to open the gates, but when they do, it causes problems. So for opening the gates, Appius opens the gates of Hades on them and pulls all of these Bretonnians into the Shadow Realm through this pit of shades. And that'll pretty much clear out the gate. And it's still under Bretonnian control, though, annoyingly. So I'm going to have to get some of my units down from the walls because I can't actually attack the gate right now because it's open. Like I said, it's kind of an annoying glitch that can happen there. So you might be wondering, where is Cassian the Devoted, if he is indeed so devoted? He sends all of his men-at-arms and his foot squires. Check out this Grail Relic. Everything they can send to try and defend the walls. And I have to give these Bretonnians some credit here. For being filthy peasants, it's good to see them at least try to defend their beloved Bordeleaux. For Lord and Liege and the Lady. Boy, Brittania would be a fun themed campaign as well. Like the whole chivalry thing. Oh man, that'd be a good time. So here are the Knights Errant, who are apparently allowing their men-at-arms to be slaughtered while they sit back as a last defense. So there are a few units of Knights Errant. Knights Errant, of course, not going to be a solid match at all for my Chaos Knights. And then back here we've got a unit of Pegasus Knights. And here is Cassian the Devoted, watching his troops get throttled while he sits back with the blessed trebuchets at the keep. Where's this Cassian? I think this is Cassian the Devoted right here with his sword. It is. So this is the Devoted. He's devoted to one last look at his lands, and he's buying that look as the serfs of his kingdom are destroyed. I guess it was pretty for a while. Sorry, Cassian. There's a new lord in town, and it's not you. So you can see that my troops have overwhelmed the defenses. The paladin and his men utterly destroyed. And with the defenses overrun, the Knights of Chaos can now swarm into the city. And swarm into the city they will. So I'm going to take the Knights with Lances and the Swords of Chaos and Archaon, and you can see Archaon completely fearless. The only damage he's taken in this battle has been with the use of his own ability, where it causes damage to him to replenish the winds of magic. These peasants aren't even really capable of inflicting damage on him. In fact, he's so insanely powerful that there's very few who could. And I actually think, and you guys leave some comments to tell me what you want, but I kind of want to take Archaon from Brittania because they're not putting up a challenge. And I want to sail to the Lizardmen and take the Sword of Cain from them as one of the final requirements of beating this campaign, is that I want Archaon to have, like, just no one can challenge him from a stats standpoint. So I'm going to use some piercing bolts of burning, burn this cavalry away, and then here comes his loyal Swords of Chaos. Of course, those guys give him even more physical resistance when they're around. So Archaon is probably near invulnerable in the presence of those Swords of Chaos. You can see that he was headlong into all those cavalry and still really didn't suffer much. So we're going to run down the Bretonnian cavalry before making a move on the final garrison, which is held up in the Citadel. These maps are great. Really did some nice work with it. So thank you to the folks who made the Grand Campaign custom map mod. I know there's a lot of people who worked on it. They did spectacular work, and I personally want to thank them for hours and hours of diversity and fun in my campaigns. And they did it just because they love the game too, so it takes a lot of time, I'm sure. And they really did a good job. Some of their maps are every bit as good as the maps that are made by Creative Assembly, and from a siege standpoint, their maps are better. No doubt about it. Their small settlement maps are also better. But I think Creative Assembly learned some lesson from that, because I noticed that in Three Kingdoms they were starting to make small settlement maps and changing the way they do siege maps. So hopefully we'll see better from them, and that's good that the modding community helped drive that. And it's good that Creative Assembly gave them the modding tools to do it, to be honest, or else it may not have ever driven it. So we push back all the cavalry here. My Knights of Chaos with sword and shield. And that's going to be including these Chaos Knights here. We need to name some more of these units. We can name them for this battle. We can name them for past battles. Whatever you want to do. Put some names out there, and I'll see if I can find some in the comments. So yeah, the Knights Errant will once again be errant very soon as they flee for their lives. I think that there's a little more armor and strength in the Chaos Knights there. The Blessed Field Trebuchets have opened fire on me because they're close enough. Appius and Sextus really don't know fear here. And normally a group of Pegasus Knights and a Lord on a Pegasus as well would be a pretty frightening bit of work, but take a look at the stats here on Sextus. He's poison, magical, 552 damage. He does not have specific anti-large. He's got 99 armor. He's going to go solo, this Lord and his Pegasus Knights. And he's going to have Appius help him. So I got Foe Seeker, Deadly Onslaught, Hellfire Sword, Potion of Toughness. Look at the stats, people. Just watch the stats. There's 736 weapon damage, and I'm going to debuff with Enfeebling Foe. And then I've also got the Withering, and then Melkoth's Miasma. So Sextus is going to come in here and take on all of these Pegasus Knights. Show them what a Chaos Roman is made of. Here comes Appius at the last second just to come in and get a piece of the action himself. And the Bretonnians flee. Wow. Appius, Sextus, and Archaon all seem to have a rather good day, along with some of the Chosen. Peasants are a little bit too easy. I almost wonder if we need to, like, cut their kill counts in half in order to be fair. For none of these quote-unquote men really count as one, right? I don't know, maybe killing the cavalryman and his horse counts. Do you like how, along with the spells and the debuffs, that Sextus there pretty much just 1v1'd an entire troop of Pegasus Knights and a Bretonnian Lord and suffered hardly any damage? That's right. That's because Sextus is the man. Reduced power recharge rate. Not that impressive. Archaon, once again, dealing destruction to the pathetic peasants of Brittania. Come on, Norska, get your game on. Get your game on. So I think that just leaves us Vardek Krum. I'm gonna hit Gorcel here. slightly out of our range.
I will not blight my soul.
I haven't seen or heard a peep from Lewin in quite some time.
Witness my beauty. The gods
Sigvald,
direct
bring your
me.
beautiful self over here, son. Let's get out of this encamp stance. Bring Patchy into an encamp stance. There's still some high elf settlements to destroy over here. I'm going to build this Pillar of Skulls in Sigvald's army. Trying to think what else, if anything, is of great interest to me. Nothing else that we can build at the moment. I do want to re-recruit the Everwardens into this army. We are almost up to rank 9 on this Chaos Warrior with great weapons, which means we can trade it for a Chosen. So Sigvald's army gains power. The Dark Elves are laying waste. Alarielle is brave, I'll give her that. She is standing in the face of a tremendous number of foes over here. The Dark Elves have really broken out the cold ones and come to the party. Oh boy. Lame jokes and truth, all in the same sentence, folks. Alright, Vardak Krom needs to build up to Unholy Legion. And that's going to be it for this turn. Someone did ask about Sliver Slash. We have not fought the battle for Sliver Slash because we need to carry out a successful assassination attempt. We'll have to have a character take care of that. Basornling, maybe? No, Cocoa Pox. Let's look at the skills. Cocoa Pox doesn't have any wounding skills. We need to find someone. Alright, Kolek and Felman are ready to lay siege to Hell Pit.
Kill them all.
I can't quite reach Hell Pit with Felman. And we're gonna fall just short with Kolek as well.
Now is chaos.
The only danger we really face here is that the rats successfully ambush us, which they very well might. They do have that capability. I'm going to encamp my two armies near each other so that hopefully we would receive reinforcements. We can see Fabagir, the Infectious, and Morlock, whom we've defeated multiple times. So, no real threat there as far as I'm concerned. It does look like the vampires are giving Throg and Wulfric some trouble, which is irritating to say the least. Fey Enchantress running away. Sounds like her, I guess.
A glorifying act.
Well done, Vardak. Burn these peasants to the ground. Vardak is ready for the apocalypse. His troops are ready. Alright, so Brittania is in some seriously bad shape. Worse even than the High Elves, if it's possible. And in this case, it's possible. It is possible, folks. Oh my goodness, the stats on Archaon are absolutely through the roof, and I love every bit of it. Alright, so this is Sextus. Finished Blade Shield. Let's go back here and put a little more into Thick Skinned. Make it extremely difficult for enemies to land any damage on him. Spread more corruption with Appius. You are one corrupt fellow, Appius. So very corrupt. Alright. Ooh, High Elf armies. This is a pleasant development.
The gods direct me. You need a boon. You will fail.
I don't know about needing a boon, but I need you to move up so we can fight these elves.
The gods are watching. Death holds no fear.
We've killed Aurelius, the elf. And Towden stands in his place. Oh, my sisters. It's a good thing we have cannons.
What? By the eldritch I see.
Alright, these two armies can reinforce each other. We'll be safe in case those elves attack me, though I doubt they will because they have no advantage in doing so. They will probably flee. And who can blame them at this point? After seeing what happened to their prince, I don't expect that they would be feeling too confident about their chances here. Let's give Sigvald hard to hit. And for his Polisher, the metal sorcerer that serves him well. We could put the Polisher on a Manticore, which he probably deserves. He's immortal at this point. Let's put him on a Manticore and then finish his magic tree. Well, I said we could be ambushed, and guess what? We ambushed. I'm gonna have to assume that it's both Fabric Gear and most likely Morlock along with him. We'll see. Oh yeah, look at Felman Ingerson. This guy knows how to deal with rat ambushes. He used Kolek's army to defeat one. He's got to rely on his own forces to defeat the ambush today. And he is going to get ambushed pretty hardcore. Right now, I have no idea how many rat armies there are, but I did see on the minimap that there are going to be reinforcements coming from several different directions. We get hit hard by warp lightning cannons immediately. And you can see I'm going to use my Chosen to hold the center, as well as Felman himself. And I'm going to push some Forsaken, Chariots, and my Manticores to immediately come up here and deal with the Gutter Runners and the Warp Lightning Cannons. We only have 540 troops in this army, and we're already up against 3,000 Skaven. So we're going to be outnumbered very significantly. Using air math, you know, I would say it's like 1,000 to 1 or something like that. You know me. I know, folks. Anyway, my Forsaken are up here, my Manticores are up here, and the Warp Lightning Cannons are going to quickly be silenced. So you can see that my Gorebeast Chariots and Manticore have each gone after. I'm going to use my Manticores actually to get into the Gutter Runners because they catch the Gutter Runners better than any other unit I have here. The Gutter Runners tend to be faster than cavalry because of their abilities whenever they get into the woods. My Hell Cannons are going to sit back and pick off targets of opportunity like these Skaven Slave Slingers. And then I've got my Trolls ready to come in and join the fight as well. We've already lost a decent number of troops, honestly. We're down 100 troops or more. More, actually, at this point, I should just say. There's been a lot of summons, so this has not been a very cost-effective trade. I want to mop up these Skaven and then see if we can get into some more blob-type fights with the rest of the reinforcements, because we can't take these kind of fights. I managed to push back this Assassin, Strunkrich. It's more like Skunkrich.
Not worth it.
Skunk Sausage. Here's our Death Sorcerer. This is Coco Pox. So Coco Pox did drive back that that assassin who was then chewed up by Forsaken. But I'm gonna, you all see what happens to Coco Pox in this battle. No, he doesn't die. I'm gonna go ahead and spoil that for you. He doesn't die. I'm not gonna kill Coco Pops, Reptile King. Don't worry. Anyway, you can see the fight here. I'm just cleaning up all the rats in the center because the Grey Seer is still around. His troops aren't routing as well as I would like, but they are all near to routing. And I do have a significant number of troops yet, but there's also a lot of Skaven left on the battlefield. There's only about 1,000, or about 11 or 1,200 Skaven in this first wave right here. You can see that their reinforcements are coming in from the flanks. Not quite as bad as they have been, but for whatever reason, CA needs to work on it because these troops don't rush into battle, they walk into battle, and CA needs to fix this. They need to be running towards the battle and try and get in there and help overwhelm, because the fact that the AI walks the reinforcements makes these battles where you would probably get throttled, otherwise be fairly winnable. Now, the Skaven finally do something smart here, and they summon up a Clan Rat onto my 2 Hell Cannons, and I was really worried that they were going to use that stupid Warp Bomb ability. I kept my Aspiring Champions over here, and I get away some of my crewmen, but a couple of my artillery crew are stuck. So I do manage to get these Forsaken, and we're going to make short work of these stupid filth rats. I'm not going to let them destroy my Hell Cannons. There's too much damage that I need from these Hell Cannons to allow this to happen. Man, getting killed by Forsaken would be like getting killed by a zombie seafood buffet. You can see that most of the units are gone, and then check this out. I did forget about Coco Pox back here, and he gets attacked by this Grey Seer. I had him chasing, or sorry, I had him chasing the assassin off the battlefield, but I guess the assassin disappeared in the woods, regrouped, and started fighting Cocoa Pox, and then he gets caught and killed, which is kind of stupid. I mean, you look at the assassin's not that good in combat, and he only has 20. He totally should have been losing to Cocoa Pox, so I'm kind of irritated about that. It's just a little better melee attack on the assassin. So Cocoa Pox is being humiliated right now, being chased away by a Warp Lightning cannon crew. But over here, the Skaven are bringing in huge amounts of reinforcements. And the reinforcements are being shot at by my Hell Cannons. There's Plague Monks up front, who I'm going to cleanse them of their plague, let's call it. But then I get an idea. You're just like, you know what? I could use these chariots. I could make a big giant Skaven blob and then hit it with my Hell Cannons. So that's what I choose to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the chariots in, and I'm going to try and blob these Skaven while I just launch Hell Cannon volleys into the ensuing blob. And you can see it's already working quite magically. My Hell Cannons are going to start mopping up massive numbers of Skaven. A little bit of a risk here because my Gorebeast chariots are separated. They could get routed, but I'm pretty sure I can cause enough damage to make this worth it. You can see my Hell Cannons very quickly cleaning up huge numbers of Skaven. I need to get my chariot moving again, and then I'll just recharge them in order to make a new blob. Yeah, so you can see that the Skaven are paying a dear price for trying to swamp these Gorebeast chariots. The kills are mounting 145 on one, and I can't quite get the other one because the unit of Forsaken is in the way, but they are creating a marvelous looking blob here. I'm going to retarget my Hell Cannons towards the center of that blob and just try and pick the units that are going to give me the best hits. So we've been very successful at demolishing this wave of reinforcements. However, I noticed that as I started to kill those reinforcements, more were coming in. Fortunately for me, they're just Skaven slaves, but if you look at the troop count, we are outnumbered over 10 to 1 right now. Well, in total, there's only 2,000 something Skaven left, so we're actually not quite outnumbered 10 to 1 at this moment, but the overall number is approaching a 10 to 1 total. So at this moment, we are not outnumbered quite that bad, though. My Hell Cannons are really doing some work here now, both units over 200 kills. And now that these units are close enough, I'm going to bring in my Trolls and Fellmen, and eventually my Chosen once I get a last couple of Hell Cannon hits. That was quite a shot from that Hell Cannon, by the way. And we should be able to kind of just chain route these Skaven. So you can see we're going to send them packing. And at this point, it's like, you know what? I just want to get over here and blob the living crap out of these Skaven reinforcements. Because I know there's another set of reinforcements over here. I got eyes on it just briefly, and I was like, holy crap. 4 Censer Bearers? 4 Censer Bearers, folks. And then there's another Warlock Engineer and a Plague Priest back here. So we are going to have some serious work cut out for us back here with 4 Censer Bearers. There's more Skaven slaves, and unfortunately even Warp Lightning Cannon's going to come on in a moment. There's Death Runners back here, and of course I can't spot them yet. They're hidden. But I'm going to go ahead and push forward with my troops, and I'm just going to kind of use like a blob method here. The AI will blob if I create a blob, and my blob has more terror and harder hitting power. So I'm going to try and turn this into a devolved blob fight, because I'm pretty sure it favors me, whereas spreading out and allowing the Skaven to cause as much damage across a larger line feels like a worse idea. So you can see I'm just going to go into hot pursuit here. Try and keep the Skaven on a route and keep their leadership low. But unfortunately, they're Greyseer and a few other units around. I do have a couple of Hell Cannon volleys left, so I'm leaving some Forsaken behind a guard. And then my Remus and Romulus, my Manticores here, have been dealing with skirmishers the entire time. They're not going to have a ton of kills, but they've been very, very important. You see over here, I'm trying to get back and kill this stupid Greyseer, but he's just getting pushed around by Cocoa Pox, who did manage to come back and Spirit Leech that filthy assassin, so he did get revenge. But, you know, as soon as I turn away from the Greyseer there, you can see he comes right back into the fight. So I do have to be careful with Cocoa Pox. I'm trying to support him with these Trolls, and I'm going to be able to use the Trolls to get this Greyseer. Somehow he manages to go through a whole group of Trolls, though. It's kind of stupid. I'm going to move over here. Sorry, clicked the wrong button. And again, you can see the Skaven kind of blobbed up over here. Comes all the Death Runners, Night Runners, Skaven Slave Slingers. And then here's that Warp Lightning Cannon. So I'm going to push my blob forward, and then I'll move some units to deal with that Warp Lightning Cannon. What I don't know, though, is how many more reinforcements are left. You can see that the total number of Skaven that have been through the battle is 4,800, and there's currently still 1,900 Skaven left on the battlefield. So we're going to use our blob. I do see the Death Runners at the last second because they become unconcealed. And we're going to just push everything after them, too. With the Manticores here, they're going to be causing a lot of terror. And when the Skaven units don't have the proper support, they're going to be facing huge amounts of infantry and then terror attacks. And the terror bombs are pretty strong. They're going to be pretty strong. Felman gets in here too, and you can see that we're just quickly routing all this Skaven infantry. I'm going to take the 2 Manticores. Their Hell Cannons, or sorry, their Warp Lightning Cannons are not aimed at my Manticore right now. And this is good for Romulus and Remus, because it's going to give them a chance to get back here and deal with these Warp Lightning Cannons before they can cause any significant loss to me. So they happen to fire through trees, and they're just less effective in their current position, thank goodness. Gorebeast Chariots mopping up Slingers, and Skaven Skirmishers are a nuisance to mop up. You can see the power bar is actually stacked against me pretty heavily, and it's because of all those Sensor Bearers who are on the field, because remember, I have to plow my way through this and still deal with Sensor Bearers. Here you can see Romulus and Remus quickly making short work of the Warp Lightning Cannon crew. And the Skaven keep routing and then rejoining the fight. And if I were them, I would probably rout too. This is definitely a not so pleasant looking bunch, and then they're backed up with heavy armor and axes. And then Felman is actually a pretty stout fighter at this point. He's pretty stout, especially considering we're up against Skaven right now. So again, we're just going to keep picking off all these Skaven units. I've got a troll unit that had been chasing a skirmisher and never caught it, so I just started coming back this way again. Chasing Skaven skirmishers with anything that's not extremely fast is a bad idea. So that's why I'm using the Manticores to do it. So these Skaven Slave Slingers, I'm going to push them over here, and then I'm actually going to swing that troll over to cut them off. And the reinforcements are nearing. You want to know something crazy, folks, that I couldn't see earlier? You all may think that this battle's just an easy mop-up because I'll blob up all these Sensor Bearers and then lay waste to them. Well, let's take a little look-see through here. There's Sensor Bearers, some more Clan Rats. Yeah, folks, that is 3 Hell Pit Abominations. That is why the power bar is stacked against me. 3 Hell Pit Abominations. This is not going to be a gimme battle. This is going to be a very difficult battle. I've got 4 elite infantry, 2 lords, and 3 freaking Hell Pit Abominations. And then there's some Poison Wind Globadiers, Death Runners, Rat Ogres. Look at all the stuff coming onto the field. We are still heavily outnumbered, and at this point the Skaven have some very hard-hitting units coming into the battle. I do not have any dedicated anti-large units in my army, so I'm just going to have to make use of what I can. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward for a minute as I clean up these last few of the reinforcements that were on this side, and it's at this point when I have started to realize the challenge that lays ahead of me. The Winds of Magic are empty. I used them all with Cocoa Pox early to Fate of Buna and Spirit Leech, and I'm really wishing that I would have saved it for some Purple Sun, because Purple Sun would be absolutely brilliant at this point. And that other stuff did not buy me near as many dividends as it could have if I would have saved it for Purple Sun. All of my units are intact, albeit some are extremely worn down. I have a very healthy Aspiring Champion, 3 Chosen, who are a little below half, 1 who's about half. Felman Ingerson is in good shape. He's going to be a tough target. Cocoa Pox is in very rough shape right now. I've got both my Gorebeast Chariots still have 3 of their unit models. One is in very solid health, the other is a little bit weak, and I hid my Hell Cannon crew over here in the woods. They're not actually hidden, but I don't expect that the Skaven are going to go over here. So I put the Trolls up front. My Chosen cannot bear the brunt of the charge of these Hell Pit Abominations, so my Trolls are going to have to do it. I don't love this because the Hell Pit Abominations are specifically anti-large, but if I swamp them, take the charge, and then swamp the Hell Pit Abominations with these heavy infantry, it won't be the kind of fight that the Hell Pit Abominations are meant for. I bring in Felman. This third one actually kind of blobs in here. That's not exactly what I wanted to see right now. And then I'm going to swing my Manticore back around to put a real hard charge. And you can see this Hell Pit Abomination over here just gets laid waste to. So we're going to have one that's going down very, very quickly. The other two, however, are causing a tremendous amount of damage. And now the Censer Bearers are going to come in. So this is going to get real ugly real fast if I can't get rid of these Hell Pit Abominations. Fortunately for me, one of them routes, and the others are near to it. If I can route the Hell Pit Abominations, I can use my Chariots and Manticore to cause a Terror rout. You can see here that Romulus and Remus are going to come put a big hit on this Hell Pit Abomination, and it should quickly rout. Like I said, this one has routed. I want them dead because they do replenish their hit points whenever they're out of combat, and that is the last thing I need right now. This is going to be a desperate finish. These Censer Bearers got wrecked by Terror and the Gorebeast Chariots. So I do manage to get the Hell Pit Abominations out. This one's going to be an easy finish, so I go ahead and chase it with Romulus, and he kills it. The other one's going to be chased by Remus. And now we're just going to go into a full-on blob clash here. If I can blob this infantry, tear out it, that's going to be the ticket to success, but we've still got a pretty big battle ahead of us. I did pull the power bar back some, but those Hell Pit Abominations, two of them are not dead, and they're healing faster than I can do damage to them while they're running away, so this is very, very bad for me at this point, because I need all of my units to focus this infantry, and I'm just not able to do that right now. A few of the spears attack me. I'm not really worried about these units, so I really focus on the Censer Bearers. And I'm going to go ahead and pull my Chariots and Manticores back. Unfortunately for me, this means that the Hell Pit Abomination comes back and has a lot of time to build up hit points. And we've got to deal with these units of Rat Ogres. There's 3 Rat Ogres coming in, so... And I can't see these Death Runners. So I know I'm up against a lot of troops. We're still outnumbered 3-1. And there are some significantly powerful units here for the Skaven. So the blob fight begins. My Manticores start to hit the back of it. This should begin the Terror rout. And then the Gorebeast Chariots will finish it. So stage 1 should be a pretty quick success for me. But these units likely will come back from routing, so I'll let you all see the leadership here. So Fellman is really in a pretty desperate fight at this point. And I do manage to Terror rout all this infantry, so this is good. But 3 units of Rat Ogres and 2 regrouped Hell Pit Abominations, one of which has almost 3,000 hit points again now. Now the leadership of the Skaven arrives here. I don't have anything that can really kill this leadership quickly, and that is going to work against me in a bad way. Alright, so here comes the Hell Pit Abominations and the Rat Ogres. Fast forward for just a second. I'm going to go ahead and... I wanted to do like a quick knockout on this Hell Pit Abomination, but my guys don't get the best of charges, and a lot of my units are blocked from actually hitting it. We don't get a good surround. So this Hell Pit Abomination is dropping, but not near as quickly as I need it to, which means that this blob over here gets singled out by 2 Skaven leaders, a Rat Ogre and a regrouped Plague Monk Censer Bearer, and so this blob over here is in some pretty serious doo-doo. And I'm just making sure that Cocoa Pox does not get caught in this fight, because I can't afford to get him killed. These Hell Pit Abominations just keep hanging on. I cannot seem to kill it, and it's at this point I start to get very, very concerned about how this battle is going to fold. You can see it's split down the middle. I now have the outnumbered odds down to 2-1, but we are still in a significantly challenging fight. This Hell Pit Abomination's actually healing. It'll take a bunch of damage and then do some more healing, so it's really taxing my forces. And over here, we've got 2 Rat Ogres and regrouped Censer Bearers. I'm just doing everything I can here to try and Terror out some of these units, so I bring my Manticore over, but these Rat Ogres have pinned down my Chariots, and I can't get my Chariots out of the fight in order to cycle, and so they're taking a lot of damage. And like I said, the fight gets desperate, and it's at this point that I can actually see the Death Runners, and I'm like, oh crap. And so this fight is now dangling on a thread, and then some of my Chosen actually Terror out, which is just infuriating to see Chosen Terror out, especially in the presence of their Lord. But it happens. Fortunately for me, they came right back. And I'm going to try and turn the terror tables here with a charge from Romulus and Remus, who got free from the fight. One of the Hell Pit Abominations finally dies, and the second can be focused. The terror route is on. My chariots are still stuck in the fight because of trolls and rat ogres. But we managed to get a good route going here. But again, these units just leave the fight and quickly regroup for round 2. And at this point, Remus has gone berserk. I've lost control of him. This is not ideal for me. The Skaven leadership still being alive is a big problem. And these Death Runners didn't get countercharged. And so that's also a big problem for me. My numbers are very low at this point. I'm down to 158 men. And we're still up against 400 Skaven. And these Poison Wind Globadiers are going to be here soon. If I don't mop up this fight very quickly, those Poison Wind Globadiers are going to lay waste to me. And I can't afford to pull many of my units out of this fight. Here comes the regrouped efforts. So I'm turning everything against these Rat Ogres and Censer Bearers. And I finally break the leadership of the Skaven, and the remainder of them terror out in a very difficult battle. It's a good thing the AI can't use the reinforcements, because this would have been absolutely unwinnable if they could have. We just would not have had enough troops. If Kolek had been here, different story. But with these troops, not so much. Earlier, someone mentioned a comment saying that I don't get a challenge playing the AI. Yeah. So I have to take down 5,000 rats with 562 men. So I think 100 to 1 is challenge enough for me at the moment. And we won. And that is not the first time that Felman has found himself outnumbered by tremendous odds. Didn't even have Kolek's help there. So put an Unreal Slaying on a settlement, garrison, Morlock, and Fabrigir. So Felman is an absolute beast. And the Skaven have not learned their lesson yet. Razor sacked 32 settlements. Whew. The Skaven menace here, folks. The Skaven menace. They are a menace. There is no other way to put it. You can see why I want to bankrupt the Skaven once and for all right here, right now. This was far too long in the making. So Hell Pit has been destroyed. We're gonna need to chase these losers down though, or they'll try and escape. So I'm gonna hunt down the Skaven as best I can right there. I'm gonna let Felman replenish his armies. Kolek is stuck because of raising, but I'll double check Fort Ostrosk and make sure none of these other settlements have been settled by Skaven. But I think that it's been far overdue for us to get rid of Clan Moulder, who has been a thorn in our side far too long. Lothern is on its heels, folks. There's not much else to say about that. We gutted Lothern in the course of those 2 huge battles. And it looks like we may have one big battle left over here. But other than that, Lothern has been gutted. Absolutely wrecked. And they are suffering a mighty invasion of Dark Elves right now, because I opened the door for them. In any case, that's going to be the end of this episode. I think on the next episode, I'm going to push ahead with the continuing destruction of Brittania, obviously, and we'll see if we can settle things down in the north any. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more, make sure you subscribe, leave your comments if you enjoyed it, then hit that like button for me. If you didn't, get in the comments and tell me why you didn't. I'd love to know, but appreciate all your support. Thank you for watching. HeirofCarthage, signing out.